वासुदेव।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरि मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव।
श्रीमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण,
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 भजमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण,
भजमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण,
श्रीमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण, श्रीमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण, श्रीमन्नारायण
नारायण नारायण,
श्रीमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण,
श्रीमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण,
श्रीमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण,
श्रीमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण,
श्रीमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण,
श्रीमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण,
श्रीमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण,
नारायण नारायण नारायण,
भजमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण,
भजमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण,
भजमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण,
भजमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण,
श्रीमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण,
श्रीमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण,
श्रीमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण,
श्रीमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण,
भजमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण,
भजमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण,
श्रीमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण,
श्रीमन्नारायण नारायण नारायण,
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण
वासुदेवा।
कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव।
हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा, हे श्याम नारायण वासुदेवा, हे राम नारायण वासुदेवा, हे श्याम नारायण वासुदेवा।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरि मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरि मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा।
हे राम नारायण वासुदेव, हे श्याम नारायण वासुदेव।
हे राम नारायण वासुदेवा, हे श्याम नारायण वासुदेवा।
हे राम नारायण वासुदेव, हे श्याम नारायण वासुदेव।
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद
हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी, हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। हे नाथ नारायण
Welcome to join. It would be amazing if you could join, everybody of you. Simple bhajans we would sing. Jai Radha Madhav Jai Kunj Bihari
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 जय गोपी चंद वल्लभ जय गोपी
जन वल्लभ
जय गोपी चंद वल्लभ
जय गोपी जन वल्लभ
जय गिरवरधारी
जय गिरधर धारी
जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी
जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे
हरे राम 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 हरे 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 राम
राम हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 कृष्णा
कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे
हरे राम हरे राम हरे
हरे राम
हरे राम हरे राम हरे
हरे राम
हरे कृष्णा we will increase just bit of our energy. इसका साउंड भी बढ़ा दो थोड़ा ना, थोड़ा सा बढ़ा दो यार, थोड़ा और चलेगा, थोड़ा सा. Okay, this sound is increased. This sound is yet to be increased. Just fuel yourself with all your love and devotion and get involved, please. And then feel the divine energy within you. You are just going to be blossoming like heaven. So, are you ready for that? Yes? Don't just look like the God is coming. God is coming within you. Just close your eyes and feel and just zoom jao like. Okay, guys, ready for that? And at least you can use both the instruments, the throat one and the hands one. Both the instruments you carry all the time. So please contribute and feel the God within. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Krishna,
Krishna Krishna
Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna 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 Krishna,
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Krishna, Krishna 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 Krishna, Krishna 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna. Continue, yeah. Krishna Krishna Govind bolo Hari Gopal bolo
Govind bolo Hari Gopal bolo,
Oh Govind bolo Hari Gopal bolo
Govind bolo Hari Gopal bolo,
Radha Raman Hari Govind bolo
Radha Raman Hari Govind bolo,
Radha Raman Hari Govind bolo
Radha Raman Hari Govind bolo,
Govind bolo Hari Gopal bolo Radha Raman Hari Govind bolo Govind bolo Hari Gopal bolo Radha Raman Hari Govind bolo Radha Raman Hari Govind bolo Radha
Raman Hari Govind bolo.
Radha Raman Hari Govind bolo.
Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. All together. Shanti
Welcome to Satsang, everyone. So let's begin together with a short meditation. Just allow your eyes to close gently. Draw your awareness from the focus on the world outside to the focus on the world inside. to which the experience of the self can emerge. Don't look for the words. Just create the space for the experience. If you find other thoughts come, sounds come, don't worry about them. Just keep drawing the awareness back to the breath. And on the breath, the question that creates the space of expansion within. Take just another moment and allow yourself to drop as deeply as you can into the question, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Feel the question in the beat of your heart. Feel the question on your breath as it flows through your being. Who am I? And in between the breaths for a moment, just sit in the space between the questions. gently bring the palms of your hands together. Rub them together at chest level. Press the palms of your hands into your closed eyes. And open your eyes. A lot of times when we meditate, when we try to answer the questions of who we are, the problem with it stays that we ask the question with the mind. And of course, the mind is the obstacle to knowing who we are. And so we end up in a situation where we're trying to use the mind to understand that which is not the mind. To use the mind to understand that which is beyond the mind. It's like a scientist saying to a mystic, "Show me your love. Where is that love you feel? Put it in my beaker. Put it on my scale. Show it to me under my microscope." And of course the mystic would just laugh or sing or be quiet, understanding, of course, the ridiculousness of thinking that you could actually measure love with the tools of a science laboratory. We understand that there are some things that transcend the tools of science. So science is fantastic at teaching us, showing us, explaining to us all of that of the physical world. What's my sari made of? Oh, okay, well, they could do that. They could just, dissect it and figure out exactly how much, carbon or whatever else is in here. Even fabric manufacturers could do that. You could send that to them. They could make me another piece of exactly the same type of fabric. They could figure out exactly what it's made of. Send a leaf to a botanist. They'll tell you exactly its genus, its species, what type of leaf, where it grows. Everything about it. How the molecules of hydrogen and oxygen and carbon and nitrogen are bonded together. I could tell you everything about it. But we understand there are some things that are beyond the laws of science, that aren't about molecules being bonded together, like love. But in the same way, we end up in the exact same situation by trying to use this mind to get to the experience that is beyond the mind. And this is the tragic dilemma, because as long as we are stuck in our mind, we'll never experience anything other than the mind. And so you may be able to read books, go to lectures, learn things. It's not that the mind is useless by any means. It's a fantastic tool for many, many, many things. The dilemma is it can't give you an experience. So the mind could give you a recipe for sag. How do you make the best sag? The mind could do that. It could tell you, this much spinach, this much ghee, this much cumin, this much this. It could do that. But the mind could not give you an experience of what it is to actually eat the sag. Can't give you the nutrition that you get from actually eating it. It can only tell you about it. And so when we think about who am I, when we think about going into that place within ourselves, the dilemma with trying to use the mind and stay in the mind and answer the questions of the mind is that the mind already knows who it thinks you are. The mind already has its answers. You are this age, you're this career, you're this title, you're this culture, you're this religion, you're this relationship, you're all those things. We already know that. That's as far as the mind can go. A mind that studies spiritually could also tell you words like, I'm infinite consciousness. Great. But does that do you any good? On an actual felt sense level? Are you actually moving through your experienced life differently because your mind says, I'm infinite consciousness? It's like saying, is your stomach any fuller because you have a recipe for sag? Of course not. In order to actually move through your life differently, you have to not just know in the mind, infinite consciousness. Who am I? Oh, I know the answer to that, infinite consciousness. You have to actually have an experience that may be wordless. The words that come to you in your experience may absolutely not be infinite consciousness. It may be a wordless experience. And that's great. That's why we need to go in with the question. Because only then can we actually have the experience of knowing. You may not have the words to explain it, it doesn't matter. Nobody ever was not enlightened because they didn't have the words to describe their enlightenment. Nobody ever was not awake because they couldn't write a book about their awakening. In fact, lots of people write lots of books about enlightenment and awakening who actually have not experienced it. So there's no direct connection between having the words for it and having had the experience. What we do know is the words don't change you. The experience changes you. The words point us in a direction, so I know what I'm looking for, which is great. It's good to have a map. You know, in the old days before GPS, when someone would give you directions for somewhere and they'd say, when you get there, you'll know because there's, a big palm tree right in front. And there's a white building on the side with a pink sign. So when you got there, you could look and yeah, the palm tree, the building, okay. So it's good to know on some level what we're looking for. But the words don't get us there. And sometimes, in fact, the words even actually keep us, because maybe when we get there, there isn't a palm tree. Maybe there isn't a white building with a pink sign. Who knows? Maybe it looks completely different to us. Maybe we get there standing on our head in Shirshasana, so the whole thing is upside down, and actually what we see is a ladybug on the ground. And the last thing you want to do is be doubting the experience. Oh, wait, it's supposed to be a white building with a pink sign. When in that ladybug, you are actually having the experience. And so this is why, along with the reading that we do, which is essential and beautiful and wonderful, and along with the lectures that we listen to and all of the gyan that we get from outside, which is important and wonderful, but along with that, we need to give ourselves the opportunity to actually just have our own experience of that. Because everyone's experience is completely different. Completely different words, completely different experience. So allow yourself to simply ask the question. Should an answer emerge, let it be. Don't get stuck with it. Don't start to write poetry around it. Just allow it to emerge. And allow the fact that 2 seconds later, a completely different experience may emerge. Because the minute I get stuck with, oh, this is that. Oh, this is how I'm going to describe it. I've actually stopped it. I've turned an expansive, dynamic, 3-dimensional or even more than 3-dimensional experience into a static, frozen, 2-dimensional experience, like on a piece of paper. And so while we're having it, just allow yourself to keep asking the question. And allow the experience to keep unfolding. And mostly it'll unfold wordlessly. Every once in a while a word may arise. That's fine. Let it arise and go. A little bit later a different word may arise. Let that arise and go. But just allow yourself to keep sinking into that felt sense experience. Because ultimately, the experience of who am I is one that comes not in a place of all the words and description, but actually in the place where all the words and descriptions no longer work. So on an outer level, you have an experience, I'm this. Okay, and then you sink deeper, actually I'm this. Sink deeper, actually I'm this. Sink deeper, actually I'm this. And you keep allowing yourself to go, not getting stuck with any of the words, with any of that. Just dropping and dropping and dropping. Until ultimately, you hit an experience that's, it's like if you keep peeling an onion, well, you can describe every one of the layers until you've peeled the whole thing. At which point you sort of run out of description. Because now it's just all everything. What the Hindus tend to refer to as everythingness, what the Buddhists tend to refer to as nothingness, but describing that same experience. And so just allow yourselves to drop into it. Before even taking a question that's come in advance, I'm happy to open it up if there are, right from the beginning, if there are any questions that are here with an awareness that we won't be having satsang for another few nights. So I want to create the space if there are any questions that are already here. Otherwise, we'll start with one that has come in advance. Yes?
In this world of books all around enlightened people, how to know the real enlightened one?
Okay. So, in this world of, he said, hoax, so fake enlightened people, how do you know the real one? Well, fortunately, it isn't any of our responsibility to know. Until and unless God comes down and says to you, Acha, I have a job for you. Make me a list. Make me a list of the real ones and the fake ones. Until and unless that happens, don't worry. It's not your job. Thankfully. Thankfully, our job is not to be worried about what other people are doing. Because what we've noticed in our life, and think about it in your own lives, even if you're not worried about who's really enlightened or not, think about just how worried we get about what our colleagues at work are doing. Who's working hard, who's taking too long of a lunch break, who's sitting on Facebook too much, who's taking credit for work that they don't do. How much we get worried about what our neighbors are doing. Did you see who went into that house? What time this one came out? My God, this one's getting fat. This one's getting skinny. Don't they ever wash their car? What's happened to their lawn? Right? We spend, as it is, such a ridiculous amount of time already worried about what everybody else is doing. I can't tell you how many people come to me with questions that are just rooted in, so my family member or my friend or someone at work or whatever it may be does this. Do you think that's right? And my answer is always the same, which is whether I think it is right or wrong is totally irrelevant to your life. Because whether they are right or wrong, whether you think they're right or wrong is irrelevant to your life. And so all you're looking for from me is a stamp of approval of your already created judgment about that person. Then you can go and say, well, Sadhviji also says what you're doing is wrong. Or you can tell your loved ones who tell you कि अरे छोड़ो इसको. नहीं वो तो साध्वी ने also कहा. So the amount of time and energy that we waste already on judging others. And I use the word waste very, very specifically. It is a total waste. Now, there are a few situations in which there is a little bit of importance. For example, if you are the mother or father of that person, and they are a child, absolutely it is important that we give our children the proper sanskaras, the proper discipline. Parents, of course, must pay attention to what their children are doing that is right, so that they can reinforce that, and what they are doing is wrong, so that they can explain that that's wrong. Employers, if you are paying somebody to do something for you, obviously it is your job to make sure that they are doing it correctly, because otherwise you are wasting somebody's money on paying someone who is doing something incorrectly. And that job which is supposed to get done is not getting done. Third, if you are a policeman and what someone is doing is not just wrong but illegal, so we need to pay attention. Is this guy robbing the store? Is this one inappropriately touching that lady on the sidewalk? And lastly, if you are their guru, if they have come to you and bowed down and said, I want to be your disciple, will you be my guru? In any other situation, we are blissfully free, blissfully absolved of the responsibility of worrying ourselves over what people are doing, especially when what we're looking at, as he began with, is people who are simply pretending to be enlightened. We are not the karmic police, thank God. The issue for us is how can I know on a personal level who the right one is? Because obviously if I'm going to have a guru or be in the presence of enlightened people and trust them and want to be guided by them, I want to make sure they're right. And this is interestingly something that there's no specific equation. It's not like a pH litmus test that if you can say, well, if it's over 7.0, it's, definitely enlightened. If it's under 7.0, not so enlightened. But you do feel it inside. And the reason is people who are enlightened, who are really enlightened, are beings of light. And in their presence, you feel a light. But here's where it's a little bit subtle. Those who are fake are going to direct all the light on themselves. And so it's going to be a light that is, look at me. Those who are real are going to show you the light in you. So in the presence of a real enlightened master, you're not just going to sit there and go, wow, what an amazing charismatic leader. But you're actually going to have a felt sense experience of your own light. That being has enabled you, has brought you the light to see the light of yourself. The other real way to know, for me at least, is the real masters are doing this. And by this I mean this entire drama of being here in a body on planet Earth, playing a role. They're doing it for us. That's all they want. They're doing it for us because we need to be guided across this, what we call the ocean of samsara. And they offer themselves as the boat to carry us across. But they're not attached to whether we jump on or not. Because they've got a vision that is much bigger than we have. We get very panicked. Oh my God, right now, gotta have it, gotta have it, gotta have it. Those who are enlightened have a much bigger vision of the entire tapestry. Okay, no problem. If not this life, you'll get it next life. If not today, tomorrow, koi baat nahi, take your time. Those who are not really enlightened tend to be out trying to grab disciples. They're the ones who say, I'm the best, I'm the most enlightened, I'm the only. They're the ones who will criticize others, demean others. No, he's not real, I'm the real one. Those who are real, if people show up and are there, they're happy to serve. No one shows up, they're happy to sit and meditate. But there's no sense of, oh my God, where are my disciples? When I first came to Rishikesh, before I had met Pujya Swamiji and had his darshan, we had met some other sadhu in the marketplace. And he spoke English. He didn't live here at Parmarth Niketan, he lived somewhere else. And he spoke English and he looked really the part of a sadhu. And he said, oh, you must come and visit me. I'll teach you. So we went. And then he told us, whenever you come, you must bring sweets. It's inappropriate to go to the Guru without sweets. And he showed us which sweet store to buy the sweets from. Now, at that time, it was all an adventure. It was all brand new. to spend the equivalent of, $1 on a box of sweets. It was all sort of part of this big adventure. Okay, so we developed this daily routine. We'd go, we'd get the box of sweets. We'd go, we'd sit with him, he'd talk to us. Okay. When I finally met Pujya Swamiji and had his darshan and was transformed, and he said I could stay here, we bumped into this other sadhu in the market. And I, being in this state of just ecstasy that I had just been in Pujya Swamiji's presence and I was going to be permitted to stay in the ashram, and I say, guess what? I have wonderful news, and I've met Pujya Swamiji and he's going to let me stay in Parmarth. And this other one threw a screaming fit in the marketplace. Literally, screaming. You are my disciples. You can't go anywhere else. You are my disciples. Literally ran after us in the marketplace. So I share the story because that's a really good indication to walk in the other direction. Light does not run after darkness. Light is very content to be the light, knowing that wherever it goes, it dispels darkness. It doesn't have to run after darkness. Rivers don't run after flames to put them out. They understand when the flame comes, it's like the Buddha said so beautifully, be the river, such that when flames of discord come, they're automatically extinguished in your waters. So it's not about running after discord. It's about becoming that river. So the real ones are very content to be there, be the light, be the river, dispel the darkness, but they're not running after disciples. So those are two ways to know. And lastly, trust your inner self. A lot of times when we get taken in by someone who's not the right one, when you look back in retrospect, you realize that we were taken in actually by our own attachment to something that wasn't pure light. So for example, if I still have this illusion of, I need more money, the more money I have, the happier I will be. I need a guru who will bless me and make me very rich. And suddenly a master appears who is covered with gold and diamonds and sitting on chairs of gold and diamonds and says, I will give you a mantra that will make you very, very prosperous. We want to believe it. And later when it turns out that that guru maybe wasn't necessarily enlightened, but perhaps had some attachment issues, we feel very betrayed. But we have to actually look back and ask ourselves, what part of us was attracted to the guru in the first place? Was it our deepest self that was looking for light? Or was it our own ego who was looking for someone to tell us that that yearning for more and more and more and more money was actually right and good, and he or she would help us get there? So check your own self. And when that yearning is pure, it will vibrate with the purity of the master. And you'll know. In Hindi they say, kuch kuch hota hai na? Now usually we say that about love. But that kuch kuch hota hai, it can happen on a deep spiritual level as well. It's not just on a romance level. It means there's a feeling inside. Suddenly something is different inside you. And on a romance level, you feel it in one way. And on a way in the presence of a master, you feel it in a different way. But you'll feel it. You'll know. Yes.
So you talked about the experience and you disassociated the mind with it. But all our life we ran with the mind.
Yeah.
It's kind of, so I'm not disputing that. I'm sure that experience exists, but is there a way to it? What is
Yeah, so he said, when we began with the meditation and then we were talking about the meditation, on that question of who am I? And I had been emphasizing not to use the mind to answer it. He said, but our whole lives, we've been trained just to use the mind. How do we get out of doing that? Just practice. But meditation. There's two ways of moving through the world. One way is through our thinking mind, and the other way is from our feeling heart. And when I say feeling heart, I don't mean feeling on a superficial level of, oh, you hurt my feelings, you didn't come to my party, so now I'm hurt. And I don't mean that level. That's actually an ego hurt in the mind. We say, you hurt my feelings. But this is mind ego stuff. The heart, that intuitive experience of the heart, is the other way of moving through the world. And the mind, again, is wonderful for some things. You need to plan out your budget for the year. By all means, use your mind, not your heart. You need to figure out a good timetable for the day, how you're going to fit everything in. Use your mind. The mind is very good at understanding. Actually, this is actually how long it takes because there will be traffic. So the mind is very good analytically. The problem with the mind is it functions from separation. The mind can think about something. So I can think about the direction you're going to take if you get in the car now and you need to reach Delhi and you want to get there as quickly as possible. It can understand a map, a route. It can figure out math problems. It can figure out balance sheets. It thinks about things. The dilemma with that is, when what I'm trying to understand is myself, the mind can only understand the self that it can put at an arm's length. So what it can get a good vision of. Here's how tall you are. Here's how much you weigh. Here's how much you have as a bank account. Here's the chemical and electrical reactions in your brain. We're going to call this one anger. We'll call this one depression. We'll call this one anxiety. We'll call this one drug addiction. We'll call this one this, whatever it may be. So the mind holds you out as an identity to think about you. But if I really want to know who I am, I can only experience that from the inside. That's not an answer I can get from the outside looking in. I can only get it from the inside. And so that's why I can't use the mind. The mind can't go inside. It's like if I say to you, okay, tell me about love. Okay? Give me a speech about love. So naturally your mind immediately is going to start, oh my God, is she serious? Is she really going to pick on me? Do I really have to do this? I won't, don't worry. But the mind immediately starts doing this, what words to use, what examples to give. But as you're giving that speech, you are not having a felt sense experience of love. Rather, you're having a felt sense experience of making sure you have the right words. Is this a good description? You don't want to say anything too revealing, too embarrassing, but it should sound good. Well, that's not love. I mean, that semantically may be love, but you're not having an experience of love. You're having an experience of giving a public speaking, full of anxiety. Nothing to do with love, even though the words are theoretically words about love. In the same way, when we use the mind to answer the question of who am I? As I said, the mind can give the right words. Infinite consciousness. I can do that. Expanded awareness. I can do that. But I'm not having an experience of it. I'm having the experience of anxiety of what other terms have I heard? Is it infinite consciousness and expanded awareness, or is it infinite awareness and expanded consciousness? What is it? Oh, not having any experience actually of who I am. I'm having a purely verbal, semantic, academic experience. I'm having an experience of my mental process, which has nothing to do with actually who I am. And this is why the only way to have the experience is to drop deeply. But the minute that we say, I need to have words for it, the mind engages. And that's why I kept saying, don't try to name it. Don't try to describe it. Should a word pop up automatically, no problem, don't fight it. But try to allow yourself to sit in a place of wordlessness. Because that's the only way that you will actually have the freedom to experience it. If while you're eating that sag, you're trying to think, is there 1 teaspoon of salt in here, or are there 2 teaspoons of salt in here? Maybe 1.5. I wonder whether there's cumin and coriander or just cumin. Now, I'm no longer experiencing eating this beautiful sag. I'm trying to figure out the recipe. I've pulled myself out of the experience of enjoying an extraordinary meal that is nourishing the physical cells of my body by thinking about it. In the same way, when I'm meditating, every time my brain goes, oh, is this meditation? Oh, is this enlightenment? Oh, now I'm having that experience. You pull yourself out. And this is why you just keep returning to the experience, to the breath. Words will come up sometimes, that's okay. But allow them to be more like just bubbles that sort of come up out of the water is still, but every once in a while a bubble arises, it comes, it pops, and the water is still again. Bubble arises, pops, the water is still again. But the minute that you start focusing on those bubbles, you've got boiling water. No longer that still water. So that's why we want to drop below the mind. Any other questions? Yes.
I have 2 questions. One question is how to find myself from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And the other question is, what's the meaning of life?
Well, the good news is we actually can answer one with the other. The meaning of life is finding your true self from the inside. That's actually why you're here. That is actually why we have taken birth. That's what we are here for, is to know the truth of ourselves. Along the way, we study in school, we have jobs, we have families, we build houses, we play all sorts of roles, we do all sorts of duties. Wonderful. But the actual core reason we're here is through that I'm a student over here, then I'm a husband or wife over here, a mother or father over here, a person doing this job over here. Throughout all that, I need to keep being able to have that experience of who I really am. Playing the role of this person, that person. And it doesn't mean that the roles are bad. Roles are wonderful. If you doubt that, read the Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna explains to Arjuna so beautifully, do your duty. Your dharma is as a warrior. This war, this battle, this job, this is your dharma to do this. To bring back dharma, righteousness, to the adharma, to the lack of righteousness. But never forget, you're just the actor playing the role. You're not really the doer. You're not really this body. You're not really this role. You're not her son, their brothers, her wife. You are that which was never born, will never die. Right? That's where we have that famous teaching of the Gita. You are that, the soul, which cannot be burned by fire, dried by the wind, cut with knives, wet with water, right? That's who you are. The rest is a drama. Yes, you have to play it. And you have to play it very well, very sincerely, to the best of your abilities. And while you're playing it, never forget who you are. And one way to think about it is if you think about an actor or an actress, a good one, playing roles. Now, if you talk to any actor or actress who's really good, what you'll know is they really have to become the role. They don't feel like they're just, playing a role. They really, how does this person think? How does that person walk? What is important? They really get into the character. But they also never forget that they aren't the character. Throughout history, however many thousands of years we may have been having people put on some form of dramatic play, if not thousands, at least hundreds we know. People have been doing dramas. Bollywood produces God knows how many movies a year. Hollywood produces God knows how many movies. So we have this almost infinite number. Whether it's movies, commercials, TV, theater drama, school theater drama. But never have I heard, ever of a story of an actor who was playing the part of a villain and actually went home and murdered his family because he forgot it was only a part. Never happens. Even the best actors, the best actresses, there's always a villain, but the villains never get off that set, get off that stage, and start killing people in the audience, or go home and kill their families, or kill the cast backstage. Because they couldn't get out of character. Because they forgot. So even the best ones, they know it's just a role. And in the same way, your question is, who am I playing the role? Who's the actor here? So for actors and actresses, it's easy. They've got a whole other role as the one who is the actor. Whole different identity. So on stage, one identity. Off stage, a different identity. For you, allow yourself, when you sit in meditation, it's a beautiful meditation, allow yourself to think about all the roles you play. One of the meditations that I lead frequently is one where we just let go with every breath of every role we play. Because we all play so many roles in our life. We're our parents' children, we're our children's parents, we have our job, we have a friend, we have this role that we play in society. A successful one, a not successful one, a popular one, a not popular one, someone who the culture thinks of as beautiful, someone the culture doesn't think of as beautiful, someone who's accepted based on how rich they are, someone who's not accepted, whatever it may be. We have so many roles we play. Allow yourself to think about all the different roles you play. Some of them you play by choice. Our relationships, our jobs, yeah, it's good. Relationships are good, jobs are good. Roles in society, good. Remember, it's not about bad or good. There may be some you want to drop. If you've adopted an identity that doesn't work. Oh, I'm the one who always fails. Oh, I'm the one who's not good enough. I'm the one no one likes. Well, those are stupid roles to play. Let them go. You're the director of your own drama. If you were an out-of-work actress, you'd have to take whatever role came. But when you are the director, the producer, the casting agent, you're everything. So you get to decide, all right, I'm prepared to play these ones, I'm not prepared to play these ones. I won't play the worthless one anymore. I won't play the failure anymore. So you drop some of them. But the other ones, even that you know you're going to keep playing, a daughter, a wife, a mother, a yoga teacher, whatever it may be. But allow yourself, when you sit for meditation, to drop into a place of, who am I that isn't that role? Who am I that isn't the daughter, the mother, the sister, the wife, the yoga? What is it that isn't the role? And allow yourself to drop into that and give yourself a felt sense experience of that. A beautiful practice is every night at the end of the day, when you sit for just a few minutes of meditation, do a visualization the way that actors take off costumes and wash off makeup. Literally allow yourself to visualize unzipping all the different costumes that you wear during the day. You've got a role in the office place, you've got a role in the society, you have a role in your family, no problem. But at the end of the day, take a few minutes and just allow yourself to unzip them all until there's nothing left but just that pure consciousness. Just that pure experience of self. And then in the morning, put them back on. As long as you've got duties to do in the world, by all means, put them back on. Yeah, you're going to get up and make breakfast for the kids? All right, put on the mother role. It's wonderful. But allow yourself to realize these are roles I'm playing. I'm playing them consciously. I'm playing them willingly. I'm doing them to the best of my ability. And it isn't who I am. And if you develop this practice every day of taking them off and putting them back on, you will come into a great familiarity with the you who is still sitting there after you've removed them. And the you who sits down, ready to have them put on in the morning. And what that means is that then, whenever you sit to meditate, whenever you need to access that true self that isn't your role, you'll be able to access her. Because you'll already know her. But it only comes from practice and from experience. And allow yourself to just keep going within and meditating. Another beautiful meditation technique is the technique of what's called neti neti, which means not this. not this. And it's a technique that begins, you sit down and we say, all right, I'm not my sorry. Okay. We all know that. Nobody's going to say, yeah, you are. Not my sorry. I understand. I change my clothes every day, but I don't change. Then you go a layer deeper. You say, well, I'm not my skin. Well, I know that because my skin keeps sloughing off and I get new skin, but I'm still there. Well, I'm not my blood because I can donate blood. I can receive a blood transfusion. Can do all these things with my blood, but it doesn't change who I am. If God forbid I get cut, I lose a lot of blood. The doctors will take care of me, but I haven't lost myself. And if I get a blood transfusion, I'm not suddenly someone else. So I'm not my blood. I'm not my bones. Break a bone. Okay, well, you're still there. You've got a cast, but you're still there. I'm not my organs. Again, all of these things, they just keep regenerating. Every 7-8 years, all the cells of the organs keep regenerating. But 7-8 years ago, you were saying I. You were saying me. This isn't a new phenomenon that now that I have this kidney, I'm saying I. You've been saying I long before you had that kidney or that liver or that spleen. 10 years ago, you were saying I. And you had a totally different liver and kidney and spleen. All the cells have changed. Different blood cells, different skin cells. So you keep going layer by layer. I'm not my clothes, I'm not my skin, I'm not my blood. And as you do it, before you go to the next layer, make sure that there's a sense inside that goes, yeah. Don't move on to the next layer until there's a felt sense awareness of, yes, got it, I agree. Like, yes, I know I'm not my bones. Then you move on. Not my organs. Okay, sit with that for a minute. Yeah, I'm aware I'm not my organs. Keep going. And eventually what you'll come to is, I'm not my thoughts. Well, and we know that because the thoughts actually are just chemicals in the brain. Electricity in the brain. If you've got no chemicals or electricity in your brain, I promise you're not having any thoughts. So the thoughts are just patterns in the brain. Like bubbles again on the water, they come, they pop, they go, but I stay. I have so many thoughts. Every minute I have so many thoughts. But my thoughts keep changing, but I'm still here. So I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my history. Again, because my cells keep changing. So something happened to me 10 years ago. It didn't happen to me. There isn't one cell of my body that happened to. So slowly, slowly you go through everything you can think of. My fears, my emotions, all of that. Everything that we would say is of the mind is manifest through the brain. It's chemical, it's electrical, they're patterns. I'm not that. And slowly, slowly you remove all of that which you are not. And you'll come to that place, like I was saying about peeling the onion, you'll come to that place where there's nothing left to say you're not. You've already said, okay, I'm not this, not that, and there's now nothing else to say that you're not. And you'll come to just a place of quiet. And in that place of quiet, an experience of who you really are will emerge. And again, it may not be words, it may not be a description, but it's an experience. It's a knowing of who you are. But you have to feel it. You have to go within. Okay? And remember, that is the purpose of your life. So we better do it. I'll end tonight with sharing my favorite example about this, or way of thinking about that, which is a study that they did, a psychological study that they did, where they took students and they made them watch a 6-minute basketball game. And there was a red team and a white team. And they told the students, okay, your job is to count how many baskets each team makes. Okay, well, for 6 minutes, basketball is one of those sports that's much easier to follow than some other sports. So you can figure out how many baskets. Okay, one for the white, another for the white. Okay, one for the red. Very easy to count them. So at the end of the study, at the end of the 6 minutes, all of the participants were given a sheet of paper that had 3 questions. Question 1, how many baskets did the white team make? Pretty much they all got 100% correct. Question number 2, how many baskets did the red team make? And again, they pretty much got it all right. Question number 3, did you notice anything else? More than 50% of the people said no. Now, as it turns out with this particular study, like many psychological studies, what they tell you the point of the study is never what the point of the study is. So it turns out that halfway through the basketball game, a very large gorilla, a person dressed in a very large gorilla suit, came out onto the middle of the basketball court and proceeded to dance center stage right in front of the camera and then exited the court. More than 50% of the people missed it. Now, they were amazed. How is this possible? The kids didn't take a nap, they didn't fall asleep, they didn't get distracted because they all got exactly how many baskets. So clearly they were paying attention. Their eyes were open. How did they possibly miss a massive gorilla who came and danced on the middle of the court, in the middle of the game? And the answer is the key here. And the key to her question. It wasn't what they were told to look for. Very simple. They were following instructions. Count baskets. Pay attention to the red team and the white team. If at the beginning the researchers had said, oh, and by the way, actually something else is going to happen and make sure you don't miss it, nobody would miss it. If at the beginning the researchers said, so watch the game, but really that isn't the point, they wouldn't miss it. The problem is their instructions were, count the baskets. And this is what happens in our lives. We are very good at following instructions. We are told, get a good education, get a good job, make a lot of money, be socially popular. Today, this morning, I was giving a talk at Noida University, and we were talking about redefining success. And I asked them, I said, all right, well, tell me, what is the definition of success now? So the first 2 answers that came were making a lot of money. And the second was to be very well followed on social media. So these are the instructions we're given. Good education, make a lot of money, look the right way in the right clothes, and make sure, for youth in school, social media is the thing. For adults, it may not be. It's more of something in the society. But the point being, be someone who people like. Be the most popular one. Be the one invited to all the parties. Be the one people say, that person. Those are the instructions we're given. And so we do it. And the problem is that actually, that's not the point. Actually, there's something entirely separate. And most of us miss it. And that's to know who you are. To have the experiential awareness of who you are. So consider yourself now properly warned. There is something else. Don't miss it. Keep doing what you've been told to do. Keep doing all those things. Nothing wrong with it. It's wonderful. But just remember, along the way, this isn't actually what it's about. So make sure to keep your eyes open. Not just the outer eyes, but the inner eyes. So you don't miss it. Wonderful. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening. We unfortunately will not be having satsang for the next few nights. I'm going to Mumbai, where actually my new book is being launched by the governor of Maharashtra in Pujya Swamiji's holy presence, and the very large, beautiful, beautiful event there day after tomorrow. And then I'll be in Nagpur, and so a couple of days I'll be out. I'll be back on the 19th. So today is the 14th, and it is it Monday?
Yes.
Is it Monday today?
Yes.
What day of the week is the 19th? Saturday. Fantastic. I will, for those of you who work in dates like I do, I'll see you on the 19th. For those of you who work in days of the week, I will see you on Saturday. So have a beautiful, beautiful next few days.